Star Wars, best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, a UK-based Star Wars podcast with in-depth discussions and analysis, sprinkled with some silliness. I am the Geordie Jedi Pete.
And I am Jason Hondo Ling.
And I'm Star Wars Ian.
And we are back with a brand new episode of Star Wars. We're going to be talking all about Star Wars Outlaws, the brand new Star Wars game that is available on PlayStation 5 and Xbox. I'm not quite sure where else it's available. I'm sure it is available at other places as well. Obviously, me and Jason have not played the game, but are very tempted and confident to hear about Ian's experience playing the game. Got some good questions to talk about it. And then we'll probably talk about Acolyte Season 2, and then we'll talk about some other things. But let's just dive straight in. Ian, obviously you've been playing Star Wars Outlaws. What console are you playing it on?
I'm playing on an Xbox Series X. That's what I'm playing on.
And what version of the game did you get?
Just the standard. Yeah, I got the standard edition to start off with, yeah.
And is this the first type of this kind of game in Star Wars history?
I believe so, yeah. I think this is the first open world Star Wars game they've ever released. I know some people said Star Wars Galaxies technically back in the day, but obviously for majority, yeah, Star Wars Outlaws is the first open world game in Star Wars.
Open world canon video game, shall we say?
Yeah.
And let's just talk about that story. So, obviously, how does Star Wars Outlaws and the story connect to sort of the rest of the Star Wars story we know already?
So basically, the story is set between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It is a time where the crime syndicates basically go unchallenged to operate throughout the galaxy, and you play a young thief from Canto Bight called K-Vess, who has to basically complete a heist to create a new life for herself. That's basically the rough outline of what the story is.
So you obviously mentioned that it's set between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I believe the last Marvel Comics run, sort of all of the main storylines were being told in this period. They've just finished, I believe.
Yes.
So it's good to see a game coming in this era as well. Does it tie into anything that's been done in the Marvel Comics over the last year?
It does, yes. It does tie to, obviously you have War of the Bounty Hunters, Crimson Reign, Hidden Empire, and it does tie in. You do have mentions, and they do allude to the Syndicate War that's going on. That's obviously detailed in the War of the Bounty Hunters trilogy. So yeah, no, it is quite, it's well knit into the story. That was one of my concerns when the game came out first. I thought, are they just going to wash over that? But no, the War of the Bounty Hunters, Hidden Empire, and Crimson Reign are very much part of the story and how you have to navigate the underworld.
Jason, when you hear about a Star Wars video game coming out, it's going to be, you'll have free reign over the landscape, basically. It's going to have the main story, not the side quests. Star Wars Outlaws, it's set during this time period, as Ian's just said, about the crime syndicates. How excited do you feel about getting to play in a Star Wars game that's set around these crime syndicates, and sort of which characters would you love to interact with when you think about the vile crime bosses that we know from Star Wars?
Yeah, this sort of thing is quite intriguing to me, and sadly, I've never really got into gaming. So the nearest to a console I've got is my Switch, which obviously this game's not available on, although it is available on for the PC, and I have considered trying to get it for that. But it's one of those things that when you got a game like this, I know it'd probably take me hours, and trying to navigate all the keys and everything would be a little bit difficult. But otherwise, something I'm really interested in and would like to have a go at. Now, what I did notice was that I believe the character of Kira is involved in it somewhere along the line. And that was a character that obviously I enjoyed from Solo, and I've seen bits and pieces in the comic books about her. And she was a character that I really want to see reappear. So I was intrigued to see how she plays a part. And obviously, anything that involves all of the gangsters, when you've got Jabba the Hutt and everything, it's got to be a bit of fun. And let's face it, the villains and all the scum and villainry, that's all of what Star Wars is about.
It certainly is. Ian, obviously, Jason's mentioning Kira there. Sort of, well, given too many spoilers away. Obviously, we know she's in the game, but like, how does the interactions feel with the likes of Kira and Jabba the Hutt and the other crime bosses? Does it feel quite natural, or is it forced maybe in some places?
No, to be fair, I haven't met Kira yet. I know she's in the game, obviously. I haven't met her. I have met Mighty Jabba. It wasn't an enjoyable experience, but if you know why in the game, it's quite good. But yeah, basically how it works is you have four main crime syndicates in the game. You have the Ashiga clan, which is new to Star Wars. They've been created for this game, and they operate out of Kijimi, which is obviously the planet from the Rise of Skywalker. You have the Pikes, who operate out of the new planet, also the new planet that was created for this game, Tashara. And then you have Jabba the Hutt, who obviously runs the Hutt cartel out of Tatooine, and then you have Crimson Dawn, who is obviously ran by Kira. So yeah, the interactions are quite good. The Jabba one is what you'd expect from Jabba. You have he I won't get into any spoilers, but yeah, you end up being brought before Jabba, and he's not very happy with you, which we can all identify with after years of seeing Star Wars projects. And yeah, the other crime syndicate as well, the Yashiga clan are quite interesting as they're a new syndicate. We don't really, like I said, they've been created for this game. And the Pikes are the Pikes, and I don't like the Pikes, so I haven't done anything. I've got a terrible reputation with the Pikes, which is good.
The Pikes are sneaky bastards. I don't like the Pikes either.
No, I've got a terrible. You basically have a reputation system where it can go anywhere from excellent to terrible, and I'm terrible with the Pikes because I just betray them every chance I get because I don't like them.
I would just shoot them on sight. I don't have a PS5. So that's the only reason why I don't have the game. I'm a PlayStation 4 guy, but like I'm planning on getting one in the next 2 weeks and getting it for this game.
Yeah.
So obviously that's the crime syndicates. Obviously, we're set in a time between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So this is a time when the Empire is, I would say, flexing its muscle. They've had the rebellion on the run from the Empire Strikes Back, as we know, and are building a second Death Star in secret, I suppose. How are the Empire in the game, and sort of are they flexing their muscle a little bit?
So basically, the Empire basically operates on a wanted system. It's a bit like, it is like Grand Theft Auto. Obviously, if you create havoc and thing, then the Empire will come after you. I don't. It's very different from like Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, where you are a Jedi, where if you come across four stormtroopers, you can dispatch them easily with no problems. Kay's not like that. She's just a smuggler. So if you have four stormtroopers can cause you an absolute nightmare. You have to be very considered of what you're doing in these missions, otherwise you'll get caught out and you will they will kill you because, like I said, you're just a smuggler. You haven't got the Force. You're not a Jedi. You've just got your blaster and your pal Nick. So yeah, the Empire. I haven't got to the highest wanted level yet, but I've got pretty high, and yeah, they are. I basically had to run to my ship and get off Tatooine and run, keep running till I cleared hyperspace and got to another planet.
Speaking of hyperspace, obviously, this is a sort of a, what's the terminology again? It's not a free run game, but it's a open world.
Open world.
So how does the travel and the getting between planets work?
Yeah, so basically you have your ship, the Trailblazer, so you can you obviously go into orbit in a planet. There's no, trying to think, like in, I don't know if anyone of you played Starfield, but basically you would go to a loading screen when you go to land on a planet. You don't do this here. The loading screen's disguised when you go up into the atmosphere or down to the planet. So you're still in the game, but you obviously can't do anything. But you come through the atmosphere and then you go over the landscape and that. Yeah, and then you just go up into space, and then you can prime your hyperdrive, and then head off to another planet.
And obviously it's open world. So when we are on these planets, I take it there's a main storyline, but there's also side quests similar to sort of
Oh,
Witcher
yeah.
3, Grand Theft Auto, similar to Red Dead Redemption. Just what's the balance like, and have you been enjoying the mix of side quests and main storyline?
I've done more side quests in the main storyline. There's some that you would expect. Take this, deliver that here, find this, like that type of thing. But there's also ones that are quite fun. Yeah, no, the side quests are really well balanced and they fit in with the smuggler lifestyle. There's some of them that are really weird but really fun. Yeah, no, they're really good. You can get them off any of the crime syndicates, off random people in the cities and the jungles and the whatever planet you're on. Yeah, no, there's a really good balance. Some of them are really fun. Yeah, they are really fun.
And obviously, you mentioned Nyx, who's sort of your pet slash alien companion. Similar maybe to, I suppose, Carl Kestis has BD1. How did you find playing with Nyx?
He's obviously BD1 from Jedi. He's a lot more interactive than BD1. You can send him to go distract enemies. You can send him to pull alarms, open vents, steal stuff. Like he's a lot more interactive than BD1. BD1's a little bit like obviously scan this. Sometimes you'll be prompted to help you, but no, you can send Nyx to distract people as you sneak by, or like say pull alarms or do anything, steal key cards you need and that type of thing. Yeah, he's quite an interactive tool.
That's very cool. Obviously, you mentioned traveling between planets and using the Trailblazer. Can you use any other type of spaceship, or is it just the Trailblazer?
Just the Trailblazers. Same thing with speeders on the planets. You only have your speeder bike. You can't. It's not like Grand Theft Auto where you can just kick someone and kick them off the speeder bike and drive off. No, you can only use your speeder bike and your ship.
Okay, so we cannot steal AT-ATs or ATSTs.
I haven't come across that yet. Maybe there's a mission later, but no, not that I know of yet.
That would be pretty cool. I was just thinking, but yeah. Do you feel that there's room for like DLC with this game?
Well, yeah, there already is. There's two story packs coming if you get the season pass, which I will get. I just didn't. Basically, there was a gold edition at launch where if you bought it, you got like 3 days early play, and then you got the season pass with that. I chose not to got that. I choose not to get that purely on the fact that I was away for two of the early access days. I was away in London, so there was really no point. But the two story packs that are coming out. One comes out this fall, and it is centered around Sabok, which I will get into later because that's quite a big part of the game as well. And you have to do a job with Lando Calrissian. That's one of the story packs. And then there's another story pack that comes out next year called A Pirate's Fortune, and you will end up doing a mission with the one and the only Hondo Onaka, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so there is already two story packs that are in the pipeline to come out. So I will be getting the season pass. Like I said, the only reason I didn't get the gold edition is I wasn't there for the early access, so there's no real point in me getting it.
Jason, did I tell you get your credit card out and buy a PS5 because you're going to get a mission with Hondo?
Oh, as tempting as it is, it would be really tempting. Anything where Hondo appears is got to be good for me.
Gameplay wise, also you said you fly a spaceship, you ride a speeder bike. How do those differentiate from each other, and sort of how much control do you have when you're on both of them? I suppose traveling through hyperspace would be you tell it where to go, and you
Yeah.
can't really do anything when you're in hyperspace. But is there much that you do outside of hyperspace?
Yeah, there's plenty of areas in between planets where there's like nebulas and space stations and stuff. So you can jump out of hyperspace and be in between a battle between the rebels and the Empire. Now there is I haven't really explored a lot of space yet because I've just been doing stuff on the ground. But yeah, no, there is a lot of stuff to discover in space between planets. And the speeder bike is basically you just drive it about. It's pretty cool. Yeah, there's different things like you can jump and boost and all that type of thing. Yeah, it's pretty fun to be fair. Especially going around Tatooine. I just went out in the dunes, seeing was jumping over sand dunes for like half an hour. It was pretty cool.
Can you blow up the speeder bike?
No, I haven't blown it up yet. Maybe I don't know if they can destroy it. I haven't been killed doing that yet, so I don't know if you can do that. But it does take damage. Like there'll be smoke off it and that if you start getting attacked and that.
Cool. what is the gameplay like in terms of mission play and exploring, and then also obviously then interacting with the environment, and then also the gameplay when it's time for combat?
I would say it's much more stealth based. Because obviously you're a smuggler, like you don't have the force, you don't have Jedi powers, so you can't just run and gun. There is a time for that where you can pick up a blaster and just blast your way through things, but there's times where you could become pretty overwhelmed pretty easily. So yeah, I would say it's a lot more stealth based, with obviously action adventure um, parts of it where you go exploring out in the jungles and the desert and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I would say a stealth based game that does have a action adventure part of it as well,
How
and
much
strategy
do
as well, because you have the sabacc, which is pretty cool.
I was about to say, obviously with the sabacc, how much does currency play in the game? Like, do you need in-play money to like do things?
And you just have obviously credits, imperial credits and that, and you use it to buy into games and tables and that type of thing with a sabacc.
And then what about how does like health and like items you need for the missions? Or do you just find those, or do you need to be able to buy those as well?
You can buy them. You also get them from defeating enemies. You can run past and pick up a Bacta vial and that. Ammo, your blaster is just unlimited. Like there's no like ammo or anything like that. And it has different functions. You can use it as an ion pulse. You can use it as like a charge blast and that type of thing.
Cool. And I suppose how is you've mentioned Nyx and you've mentioned the blaster sort of just being how it is throughout the game. How about sort of outfit choices? Or how interactive is that? And are you able to change those and buy new ones?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can obviously buy ones from vendors in certain areas. The one thing I didn't mention about vendors earlier, if you have a terrible reputation with Syndicate, then their vendors won't sell to you. Like I said, which is a pretty nice touch. If you have excellent reputation with other vendors, then they'll sell you a discounted price. That's pretty cool. And yeah, there's plenty of clothes and stuff like that where you can obviously change how you look in the game.
Cool. Let's just say I'd built up a bad reputation with one of the syndicates. Is there a way to change it back to positive and vice versa?
Yeah, do jobs for them, help them, and then obviously you can get your reputation restored that way.
Spot on. Obviously, we've mentioned Kira, we've mentioned Jabba the Hutt, you've mentioned Lando Calrissian's coming into the game. Is there any other characters that you've met or that you know that you meet that are pretty cool or that are worth mentioning?
Just trying to think now. I met Bib Fortuna. He's there. Old
Is he
Bib.
fat yet? Or is he still skinny?
No, he's obviously pre-Return of the Jedi, so he's still skinny Bib. Bib Fortuna. I'm trying to think if there's any characters I've met. You do meet Lando Calrissian in the game. Obviously, he's going to be in a story pack, but he is in the game. I don't know if anyone's seen it online. You do catch a glimpse of a bounty hunter, obviously a notorious bounty hunter. You do catch a glimpse of him, but he's not relevant to the game. He's just, you go past, you do see him. Obviously, that's Boba Fett. And
is Han Solo at Jabba's palace?
Yeah, he's in Carbonite. Yeah, in Jabba's. So it's after. So it does take place after War of the Bounty Hunters, because obviously Jabba gets that after War of the Bounty Hunters. So yeah, there is that. So yeah, there's that. I'm just trying to think if there's any other characters that I've come across. Yes, Aftermath. Akiva was obviously created. One of the planets, Akiva. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but it was created for the Star Wars Aftermath trilogy. That's where the first book mainly takes place, on Akiva, and you obviously meet Snap Temin Wexley, who obviously is one of the pilots for the Resistance at the end, who dies obviously in the Rise of Skywalker. So you do meet him. So you meet him, and yeah, a lot of the Aftermath. I'm currently rereading Aftermath after playing the game, and a lot of Akiva stuff does tie in really well with the game.
Do we see Mr. Bones?
No, you don't. No, I think this is pre Mr. Bones.
Spot on. Yeah. I suppose, is there anything else about the story of the gameplay that you want to mention that we haven't?
I'm trying to think. No, sabacc is a major part of the game. It's quite interesting to play. I've just figured out how to play it, so I'm really enjoying that. You can literally just go on the game and play sabacc for a couple of hours if you really want to. It's pretty fun. And obviously there's parts of the game, I haven't done a lot of it yet, where you get other cards and other perks to use in the game, like the Sabok game. Other than that, no, I'll just say it's a really fun game. Is it a like level Red Dead Redemption 2 level, like 10 out of 10? No, but it's fun and it's a great Star Wars adventure. And like I said, I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, that's all I can really say is like I've got no issues with the game. I've no there's like minor bugs in the game that I've come across, and they're not there's nothing that would obviously break the game or anything like that. So yeah, no, I just clarify it as a really fun adventure, and I'm having fun playing it. Yeah, it's really fun.
I think all new games that come out have some bugs, don't they? And then obviously,
Yeah,
as the patches come out, they get fixed. It's one good thing about me and you, Jason, is that if we're going to get the game later on, there'll be more patches out for it, and we'll get an even better experience. So that's why me and
Sounds
you are
good.
waiting. We'll just pretend that's why. um, Jason, obviously, you've been quite quiet because obviously I've been asking the questions, and we've been listening to Ian tell us all about Star Wars Outlaws. But after listening to Ian talk about it, how much does that make you think you want to experience this one way or the other? Whether it's
Yeah,
buying the game and playing it, whether it's watching cutscenes and reading about it.
yeah, I am tempted to see about whether my computer can hold up to it and whether I can get into it. Um, Especially the Sabak sort of stuff really appeals to me because it's something that I've always been interested in finding out how to actually play. So yeah, it's something I really got to get my head around it to get myself into gaming. And I have to admit, this game's probably the sort that would get me into it. Previously, back the only Star Wars game I've ever really played is the two Force Unleashed games, which I absolutely adored. So yeah, it's tempted me. It's certainly tempted me, and hearing that Hondo's coming into it, that's that's got me intrigued.
Good, good. Um, I suppose Ian, last question on this fire is going to be a hard one, but sort of out of all the Star Wars games you've played, sort of where does Star Wars Outlaws fit into your sort of list of favourites?
it's at the moment. Obviously, I haven't finished the game, so I don't know what the story ends. But at the moment, it's pretty high up there. My favorite Star Wars game I think, will always be The Force Unleashed. I love it. I think it's fun. Uh, and I do like the Jedi Fallen, but I do like the freedom you get in this game, and it's pretty. And the story so far has me intrigued in that. So yeah, no, I would rank it pretty high up there. But obviously, until I finish the game, I wouldn't know where. But yeah, it's one of my favourites already. But we'll see how the game ends to see how high I rank it up in the pantheon of Star Wars games.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing about that, and obviously, me and Jason looking forward to playing this one way or the other, and then we can rank it as well. Moving on from Star Wars Outlaws, um, if you haven't heard about this yet, then I suppose you've probably been living under a rock. Um, Obviously, Star Wars Acolyte has came and went, and appears to be not being renewed for a second season. Um, and I just want to talk about, what were we hoping to get from season two. Um, and I obviously love talking Star Wars with you guys, so we'll just go to you first, Jason. Just obviously after watching season one, obviously there was some story beats there that like were left open. Some were closed, but some left open, and sort of like what would you have wanted in a season two of the Acolyte?
Well, yeah, the one thing that I think everyone wanted to find out more about is, what was going to happen with Osha and May and with the relationship with the stranger, and how was he going to, was he going to be a Sith Lord or is he a Sith Lord, and all the answers to that sort of question. But obviously, the real thing was the tease of Darth Plagueis in the background, and I was looking forward to hopefully finding out more about him, and obviously how that led into then Palpatine. So yeah, there was so many different things. Obviously, I was hoping maybe through the flashbacks that they did in, or the flashback episodes that they did in the first season, maybe we'd have had some more, so that we would have still seen some of the Jedi that we'd met and that had by this point been killed. But there was so many different bits. At the time of watching it, I don't think I fully appreciated how much I was actually drawn into the story. And now, obviously, I'm sure we will get more bits of the Acolyte through possibly other media, but it is disappointing that the series isn't necessarily going to continue. There was some really great bits set up. There was bits. I think we all had issues with little bits, but there was a lot of stuff set up there that we were left looking forward to seeing what was going to come. But definitely the Plagius for me. Obviously, a lot of people mentioned it, and it it seemed inevitable. So just to see that glimpse, and also the whole conspiracy theory that obviously the Jedi covered this up and everything. That's quite interesting because obviously that's starting to show a slightly darker side to the Jedi.
Yeah, I think you bang on there with like there was so much that could happen, and it really did whet the appetite for that. Ian, let's go to you. Obviously, I know you're a big fan of like Plagueis and the Dark Side, definitely, as well as other things. So yeah, just like, what was your thoughts on like what would you've loved to have seen in a season 2 of the Acolyte?
I would love to have seen the story move on to obviously being focused predominantly about the Sith. I think obviously with how the show ended, the Jedi obviously dispatched, and I don't think they're going to look into really what happened. Obviously, we don't know what Venestra was going to say to Yoda, which is interesting. But no, I would very much like it to have gone down the dark side path. Like I said, I've said it many times. Dark Plagueis is one of my favourite Star Wars stories, the book. I would love to have seen how they would have tied that into the canon. And I would love to have seen more Darth Plagueis, more. And I really did like the character, the Stranger, that obviously Manny Jacinto played, Chimera. I thought he was tremendous as well. So yeah, I would really like to have seen how all that tied together, and yeah, I would just like to have seen more dark side stuff to see how we get from that to obviously where we see Palpatine in the Phantom Menace and that type of thing.
Yeah, I think for me, Darth Plagueis was like such a cool and like a brave thing to do to include that in there, but also made very very subtle Star Wars sense. If that makes sense. So it would have been great to see how that developed. Obviously, I think the last scene that we see, um, Osha and the Stranger sort of on the cliff looking out at the sort of stormy seas, and you don't see him, but I just imagine Plagueis watching them from where we've seen him before, and like, is he going to manipulate the Stranger to get to Osha, or like what's going to happen there? Could that happen? Could be really cool. Um, from what we've heard, Plagueis was obsessed with influencing the midi-chlorians to create life, which sounds exactly how Osha and May were created. So I feel that once he found out what she was, he would be very much interested in that, because I got the impression he was not aware of how to do that yet, if that makes sense. Obviously, I found the Yoda introduction at the end was, a cool bit of fan service, but also when you think about the situation, so the Jedi are sort of, when you look at Venestra, she's telling half truths to the Jedi and half truths to the Senators and trying to keep it all under wraps. Luckily manages to get Saul to take the fall for all this. But if you remember correctly, though, in the High Republic era, I'm sure Yoda comes across the Nameless, which are those creatures that can like really, really destroy Force users. And the Nile get hold of them and use them to devastate an effect against the Jedi. But in phase 2 of the High Republic, which is a prequel phase, before the Nile, like Yoda encounters these beasts and they cover it up so no one learns about it. Where if he hadn't done that, maybe they would be more prepared for them. I suppose it's one argument. So I wonder if she's going to Yoda and Yoda would again help. Like, oh well, yeah, I'll help you with this and not tell anyone about it and keep it secret. Um, who knows? I suppose. And then the other one was sort of May. Obviously, May is left in the hands of the Jedi now, but The difference is that Vanessa sort of told me the truth. That Saul killed your mother, which he did do. And don't get us wrong, there's some substance missing there to sort of why. But she says, Jedi killed your mother. And now I'm tracking down like my old student, and I feel that May will be a different May in season 2 because I feel May, for the first time, hasn't been lied to by the Jedi. She knows she's off to on a good step with them. But obviously, would she get her memories back? I don't know. And then how would that deal with things? I don't know. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on any of that, Ian, that I've just been saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it would have been good to see where the story of May obviously goes and how they obviously switch roles, and then see where Osha went as well. I would have enjoyed that. Yeah, it would have been good to get more expansion in that area. Like I said, I'm a sucker for anything dark side related anyway. I think that's an area we haven't got enough stories in. So yeah, I would have loved to have seen what happens with the twins and how that dynamic shifts. One more thing I was going to say I did enjoy. It was I forgot the actor's name now, but he played Senator Raincourt in the show. And he was the one who obviously had that talk with Venestra saying, "Oh, the Jedi are false idols and false prophets and that type of thing." And yeah, it would have been cool if we got a continuation of that.
It certainly would have been. And I suppose just to wrap things up on the Acolyte season 2, obviously looks like we're not getting a season 2 of the show. Doesn't mean we're not going to get. I mean, probably not, but could get some sort of movie maybe in the future. Probably not though. I think based on from what I've read. But there's, as we mentioned before, there's video games, there's comics, there's novels, there's animation, there's movies. Where do you think this story could be told if it's not on Disney Plus? We'll go to you first, Ian.
I think the best hope we've got is obviously books and comics. There is obviously the Kelnacker comic that is coming out. I think it's out now actually. The Kelnacker one, obviously the Wookiee from the show, and there is a couple of novels coming out that detail. It was a one with Venestra and Master Indara. So yeah, I think if we're gonna get a continuation of this, obviously it's not looking like you will see it on screen. It could be in the books to see what happened, what happened with Chimera and Venestra and that type of thing. Yeah, I think it'll be in the books and comics.
The High Republic was born in print, and now it's maybe going to return to print, I suppose, after its one and done season in live action. Jason, would you be interested in seeing the follow up to the stories in Acolyte season 1 in comics and in novels?
Definitely, I think probably the Acolyte, from my point of view, because I've vocally said I haven't really delved into the High Republic. It whetted my appetite, and I think I probably will be visiting the books to see what I've missed out on leading up to the Acolyte, and hopefully by that time, if I can catch up, they'll bring some stuff out that I can read about after the Acolyte.
Definitely. Moving on from Acolyte, I think something cool that's happened at the minute is that sort of all of the Star Wars movies, apart from Solo, are back in cinemas. I think it's a movie each week. So last week I watched Attack of the Clones in the cinemas, which was a fantastic experience. Haven't seen it in the cinemas since 2002, so it was good. And then obviously just yesterday, so to end sort of this week that we're recording on, Revenge of the Sith on the big screen, which was just pure cinema. It was absolutely wonderful. Next week will be Rogue One, and then the week after, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, in that order, I believe. So it's not on in loads of screens, it's on in a couple of screens each week, which is good, I suppose. So obviously I didn't see The Phantom Menace because I was quite busy that week, and obviously I had just seen it twice when it did its run-in on May the 4th anyway, so it was still quite fresh. But yeah, really, really glad I'm getting an opportunity to rewatch Star Wars on the big screen, especially, I realised last night when I was watching Revenge of the Sith, at the end, written and directed by George Lucas. That was the last film that was solely written and directed by George Lucas that George Lucas has ever done, which, the man who changed cinema forever. So I felt really privileged to get to watch that on the big screen with the surround sound where it's meant to be seen. I don't know if you guys are planning on catching any of these over the next few weeks. We'll go to you first, Jason. Any plans to catch any of these Star Wars movies on the big screen? And if so, like which one? If you only pick one, which one would you pick? I suppose as well.
At the moment, I haven't got any plans, but the more I hear about it and the more it's getting closer, um, one that I didn't see in the cinema at the time was Rogue One. So I am tempted to try and go and catch Rogue One in the cinema, because it is one of my favourite Star Wars films, even though I never saw it in the cinema. So that's one that definitely I could be drawn to go to.
I'm excited for Rogue One next week because I absolutely love Rogue One. I've seen it a lot when it came out, but yeah, I'm excited to see Rogue One. Ian, any again like sort of are you tempted to go and see any of them over the next few weeks? And if you can only pick one, which one would you want to see? I suppose.
If they're available in my area, yeah, the one I would pick to go and see would be Return of the Jedi. I saw The Empire Strikes Back a couple of years ago when COVID first. Obviously, the restrictions were lessened. That was really cool. I obviously saw the prequel trilogy in the cinema, and I saw obviously the new films, Rogue One, and all that. So yeah, I would like to see Return of the Jedi in the cinema if I get the opportunity.
Very nice. So yeah, I believe. So I watched them at my local Odeon, but I know Odeon are doing them, Cineworld are doing them, and so are View. I believe they're the three chains that I'm aware of in the UK who are doing it. Um, and I imagine the major chains in the US and other markets are showing them as well. Like I said, they're just like one-offs. They're just like a couple of screenings here and there, so it's not taking over the whole cinema. Obviously, Beetlejuice is out currently, so is Deadpool and Wolverine. There's a lot of good stuff happening actually at the cinema, I would say, at the minute. And, you know, this has been really cool. Star Wars is back. I don't know why it's back necessarily. Like, I don't know why they decided to do it, whether it's anniversary or what, but I'm loving it, so I'm not going to question why. But also, like, all the Spider-Mans are back in cinemas as well. Again, each week there's like a new Spider-Man on, from Tobey Maguire all the way through to the last one with them all in, I suppose. So I got to watch all three Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans in the cinemas over the past few weeks as well. And then the Batmans have just come back, certain Batman movies. So I think it started with the animated Mask of the Phantasm, and then they're showing Batman Forever, Batman Robin. They're showing the Batman, they're showing the Dark Knight trilogy. So yeah, like I think it's pretty cool. You know, you've got these big hitters out in the cinema screens, but they're showing some older films out there as well, which is really cool, and giving people a chance to watch them on the big screen, which I think is wonderful. Like I said, watching Revenge of the Sith last night, I just felt like it was just pure cinema from the word go. You know, as soon as you see the word war in the crawl, and you've got the war drums, and you've got the two Jedi starfighters coming into view, just epic cinema all the way through. Absolutely loved it. Um, Moving on from films, let's wrap things up with sort of what merchandise we've been buying. Obviously, Ian, you haven't been on the show in a while, so what have been your sort of Star Wars purchases over the last, I don't know, 6 months, shall we say?
I've got a couple of Black Series. Since we last spoke, I got the Cad Bane Book of Boba Fett Black Series, which is a really cool one, and I got the Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi one from the Imperial, obviously from the Star Wars Black Series archive. I've always wanted that figure, so that's a cool one. As in terms of books, I got the Star Wars on the front lines. It's in Forbidden Planet, and it was $4.99. So it was on sale, so I got that as well. So yeah, they're my purchases from recently. Yeah, a couple of figures and a book.
How is the book? Have you had a flick through yet?
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It just it basically tells a story of the main battles in Star Wars. It's not as updated. It's obviously a few years out of date. There's some of the battles that we've seen that don't, but it has the major ones from obviously the prequels, the original trilogy, and then the sequel trilogy.
Nice, that's really cool. Jason, what have you been buying? I know you're a bit of a Star Wars card addict now. You want to talk us through that?
Yeah, so I've been bitten by the Star Wars Unlimited bug. Obviously, I was kindly gifted the first starter pack by Jedi Archives when it first came out, but I hadn't found anyone locally to sit down and play with. And then obviously I went down for the um, pre-release evening at Jedi Archives and got involved with the playing of the game down there, and with that set, I got hooked, and I got in touch with one of my mates locally, and we decided to have a whole day basically playing Star Wars Rivals and Star Wars Unlimited. And Star Wars Unlimited, now that I've sort of found my way how to play the game, I'm really, really enjoying it. So I had a trip down to Jedi Archives, and I picked up a few booster packs, which I didn't get anything too exciting in them, but obviously building more of a deck up. And I also got myself the Star Wars Unlimited game map by Game Genic, and it's the XL version, so it's got the full card and play zones on it. So the next time I play, I'll be able to properly set everything up, and it sort of aids with learning how to play the game as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting a few more evenings in playing Star Wars Unlimited. And I've recently found out that there is a group within Gillingham, my local town, that meet regularly that do play the game. So I think I might be wandering along, see who's about, and see who can educate me a bit further on the gameplay. But the more I've learnt about it, it's I'd I'd heard of obviously other games such as Magic, and heard people who talk about it, and I've since learned that this is very similar to Magic, and it's just really quite a it's quite a fast game to play, so it doesn't take a long time. Obviously, you haven't got models to move around, so you're just playing with the cards and roll of the dice. So it is good fun to really get in and enjoy it with each other. So I enjoyed that. Also, whilst I was down there, I had my daughter Jess with me as usual, and she picked up another set of Bitty Pops from Funko, so she was happy. She's now moved on to the Mandalorian stage of those, and this month they're releasing their Death Star display for that range, which I've been told I have to acquire for her for Christmas. So Father Christmas is hopefully going to be bringing her the Death Star Bitty Pop display, so that she can display all her little Bitty Pops. And for kids, it's a brilliant range because obviously, we all know the Funko range and the Funko Pops, which they're great, but they start to get expensive and they take up a lot of room. And that's the beauty of the Bitty Pops, that you can build a collection and take up very small amount of room at quite a reasonable price.
Awesome stuff. I haven't picked up too much lately. I picked up. I was in London a couple of weeks ago, and I picked up. I was in Gosh Comics. I didn't pick up sort of new ones. I had some back issues, like some old Dark Horse covers for like a fiver each. So I picked up some mainly just for covers I liked. A couple of Jabba the Hutt on, actually. Speaking of Star Wars Outlaws, I think my idea is to use these vintage comics to sort of make some cool framed pieces one day. So we will see how that goes. And that is pretty much it. Really, I have got 5 packs of Star Wars Unlimited to open up, but I haven't done that yet. I'll have to find the time to do that. I suppose as we wrap things up, Ian, is there anything Star Wars you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
The only thing I'm looking forward to in the next couple of months is the new, obviously, Battle of Jakku lines of comics that are coming out. I've already ordered some of the variants for that. So yeah, I'm excited for that. To be fair.
Jason, anything Star Wars related that we haven't mentioned that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to draw you towards. Obviously, it's been a month now since we did Dorchester Strikes Back, and we're very much in the planning for next year's event. And there is now a website, dorchesterstrikesback.co.uk. So just to draw people's attention to that, we're gradually adding to it, and Ben's working frantically in the background. But there's even quite a scary photo of myself and an even scarier photo of Steve from Jedi News. But if you're interested to see what the event was like on that website, there's lots and lots of photographs. And as well as that, there's also a video that one of the visitors kindly put up on YouTube, which really captured what the event was. So if you want to find out more about what we did on that lovely day in August and what you might expect for next year's event, have a look at the website.
Awesome stuff. Definitely check that out. Ian, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on X and Instagram at Star Wars Ian.
And Jason, where can people find you on social media?
At Hondo Ling, as always.
And you can find myself on Instagram and X, or Twitter as it was once known, at Geordie Jedi Pete. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Boars Star. You can also find the podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube at Star Wars Podcast. Please check it out. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave us a top review. All of the stars, a nice little sentence, makes us three smile all day. Only takes you a few seconds, and it does help people find the show. And if you're listening on any of the other wonderful podcast applications out there and it has a feature to leave a review, again, just leave us a top review, as many stars as you can. Lovely little sentence, again, keeps us smiling all day. Only takes you a few moments, and it helps people find the show. But may the force be with you all, and remember, always tell that to Kanja Club.